Today we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden system that brings literally every single product you own into your life. We're talking about supply chain management. And, once you see how it all works, you will never look at a shopping cart the same way again.
I mean, really stop and think about it for a second. That coffee maker on your counter, the smartphone in your hand. There is this incredibly complex journey that happens long before you even think about clicking buy. And today, we're going to follow that journey from the very beginning to the very end. And the scale of this whole thing, it's just massive. Get this. According to the OECD, a staggering 70% of all international trade involves what they call global value chains. That just means that the parts and pieces that make up your products are crossing borders multiple times, all coordinated by this invisible network.
So what is it exactly? Well, the formal definition sounds a little dry. It's the comprehensive planning and coordination of everything from sourcing parts to final delivery. But honestly, to really make sense of that, let's just follow one single product on its journey. Let's decide we're going to build a bicycle.
Every product you can think of starts as just an idea, right? A blueprint. But how do you turn that blueprint into a real physical object? Well, it all starts with knowing exactly what you need.
Yeah, just imagine for a second you're the factory manager. You can't just guess, can you? You need a super precise, totally detailed list. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with a huge pile of useless parts. This is where a really crucial document comes into play.
It's called the Bill of Materials, or BOM for short. And the best way to think of it is as the product's recipe card. It is the absolute foundation for all your production planning, and it tells you every single thing you need to build your final product.
So for our bicycle, the BOM is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It lists everything from the big stuff, like one frame and 2 wheels, all the way down to the tiny details, like exactly 32 screws and bolts. This precise list is the critical foundation. Without it, you literally can't move on to the next step.
And that next step is sourcing. Okay, so you have your shopping list, that's your BOM, and now you have to go out and find the very best suppliers for every single component. Who makes the best gear sets? Who provides the most reliable tires for the best price? That whole strategic process, that's sourcing.
All right, so our suppliers are chosen, the parts are all on order. Now we get to the really clever part, actually putting our bicycle together. You see, modern manufacturing is all about efficiency, and that means not having a warehouse that's just overflowing with parts you don't need yet.
This brings us to a pretty revolutionary concept that was pioneered by Toyota. It's called just-in-time, or JIT. The goal here sounds simple, but it is incredibly difficult to pull off. You want parts to arrive at the factory exactly when they're needed for assembly. Not a day early, not an hour late. This totally eliminates storage costs and waste. And here's kind of how it works in the real world. A customer orders a bike. That order instantly triggers an automated signal to, say, the wheel supplier. The wheels then show up at the factory just as the frame is ready for them on the assembly line. It's like a perfectly synchronized dance.
Okay, so our beautiful bicycle is fully assembled and it's ready to go, but its journey is far from over. Now we have to figure out how to get it from the factory floor, maybe across an entire ocean, and all the way to the customer's doorstep.
This whole process, all of it, is called logistics. It's the arm of supply chain management that deals with the physical movement and storage of goods. We're talking about warehousing, all the transportation, and all the crazy planning that makes it happen smoothly.
Of course, you can't just put a bike on a ship and hope for the best. Every single shipment needs this critical legal document. You can almost think of it as a passport for cargo. It's called the Bill of Lading, or BOL. It acts as a receipt from the carrier, a contract for the transport, and the actual document of title. Seriously, without it, your bike is going absolutely nowhere.
So how does our bike travel? Well, if we're shipping thousands of them, we'd probably use something called FCL, or full container load. We get our own private container. But if we're just shipping a few, we'd use LCL, less than container load, and we'd share container space with other products. It's a key choice that balances cost and speed.
So far, our little story has gone perfectly. But in the real world, well, supply chains are messy. They're unpredictable, demand changes, delays happen, and even tiny little issues can ripple through the system with some pretty devastating effects.
One of the most famous disruptions has a great name. It's called the Bullwhip effect. It describes how a tiny change in what customers are buying can create these massive, distorted swings in orders for everyone further up the supply chain, from the distributor all the way back to the raw material supplier.
Check out how this actually works. Let's say a retailer sees just a small uptick in bike sales, so they order a few extra to be safe. The distributor sees that slightly bigger order and, to be safe, they order a lot extra. Then the manufacturer sees that huge order and ramps up production like crazy. You end up with enormous waste and inefficiency, all because of one tiny little flicker in demand.
So the bike finally arrives, the customer is happy, and the journey is over, right? Not always. What happens when a customer decides they want to return a product?
This is where something called reverse logistics comes in. It's the entire complicated process of managing products as they move backward through the supply chain. Handling returns, repairs, and recycling is a huge and growing part of modern supply chain management. So, we followed our bicycle from just a blueprint through sourcing and manufacturing all the way across the ocean and even on a potential return trip. Let's just zoom out for a second and look at the big picture here.
At the end of the day, supply chain management isn't just about bicycles or boxes. It really is the invisible operating system of our global economy. It's the reason you can get fresh fruit in the middle of winter and have a new phone delivered to your house tomorrow. It is an absolute marvel of human coordination.
And that leaves us with one final thought. This constant drive for efficiency, with things like just-in-time, has made these global networks incredibly lean and incredibly fast. But, as we've all seen in recent years, when just one link in that long chain breaks, the whole system can grind to a halt. It really begs the question, in our quest for perfect efficiency, have we accidentally created perfect fragility? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.